Two empires, two payment systems that revolutionized their industries. One built in the shadows of organized crime in the 30s, the other under the neon lights of American fast food. Meyer Lansky designed a commission system that unified the underworld and generated millions. Ray Kroc created a franchise model that conquered the planet. Both understood the same thing: whoever controls how money is distributed controls the business. Today, we analyze which payment strategy is truly more effective for scaling an empire. The answer might change the way you think about business. Section 2, Context and Origins. To understand these two payment systems, we must first comprehend the worlds that created them and the problems they solved. Meyer Lansky, the financial architect of crime. New York, the 1920s. Prohibition has just turned alcohol into illegal liquid gold. The streets are controlled by violent gangs fighting over every corner, every speakeasy, every smuggling route. Organized crime exists, but the word organized is generous. The reality is chaos. Constant shootings, betrayals, territorial wars that destroy businesses and attract too much police attention. Lansky observes this disaster from the inside. Born in Poland, raised in Manhattan's Lower East Side, he understands something other criminals don't see. They're losing money through sheer disorganization. Every bullet fired is a closed business. Every territorial war reduces everyone's profits. The problem isn't lack of opportunities, but lack of structure. His solution is radical for the time: apply corporate principles to the criminal world. Instead of competing to the death, create a system where everyone pays commissions to a central authority. A table where financial decisions are made. A model where conflicts are resolved through economic compensation, not violence. The commission is born, a crime board of directors that distributes territories, establishes percentages, and, above all, controls how money flows between different organizations. The concept is simple but revolutionary: centralize payments to decentralize operations. Each group maintains its territory, but pays a percentage to operate under the system's protection. In return, they obtain stability, access to new markets, and dispute resolution without bloodshed. Ray Kroc, the visionary of standardization. California, the 1950s. The United States is experiencing the post-war economic boom. Families have cars, highways are expanding, and the middle class seeks fast food that's cheap and consistent. There are thousands of restaurants, but each one is a different world. Different menus, unpredictable quality, variable service. There's no model to replicate one location's success in another. Kroc is a milkshake machine salesman when he discovers a small restaurant in San Bernardino selling hamburgers with industrial efficiency. The McDonald brothers have created something unique: a system where every hamburger is made exactly the same, where service takes seconds, where everything is measured and timed. But they have no ambition to expand. Kroc does. The problem he identifies is clear. Restaurants don't scale because they depend on the owner. If the owner is good, the restaurant works. If not, it fails. There's no system, only people. Kroc sees the solution: turn the restaurant into a replicable formula, an operations manual so detailed that anyone can execute it. A model where the business functions regardless of who's in charge. But there's an obstacle: how to finance expansion without losing control. Kroc designs a 3-level payment model: an initial fee covering the right to use the brand, monthly royalties on sales, and the masterstroke, rent on the properties where the restaurants operate. The franchisee assumes the risk and daily operation. McDonald's receives constant income and maintains absolute control over standards. Both systems are born from the same observation: growth without structure is chaos. The difference lies in the path chosen to resolve it. Section 3, Section Analysis. Meyer Lansky, architecture of the commission system. The system Lansky built wasn't a traditional vertical organization. It was a horizontal network with a centralized financial core. The commission functioned as a board of directors where leaders of the main criminal families met to make strategic decisions. But the true innovation was in how money was distributed. Each illegal operation generated income that flowed upward through established percentages. The casinos in Cuba, for example, paid commissions to the central structure. Smuggling operations at different ports contributed their percentage. Illegal gambling businesses in each city transferred their share. It wasn't simple protection money. It was a revenue model based on percentage participation in actual profits. The key was incentive alignment. If a territory prospered, everyone earned more. If a conflict arose threatening operations, the commission intervened with financial compensation. Two groups disputing a distribution route? A compensatory percentage was negotiated for whoever ceded the territory. Money resolved what was previously resolved with violence. Operational principles of the model. The system functioned on four fundamental pillars. First, risk distribution. No individual organization assumed all the weight of a large operation. Investments were shared, risks were diluted. Second, elimination of destructive competition. Attacking another member meant attacking the entire system, which was financially suicidal. Third, predictable cash flow. Every month, every quarter, payments arrived from different operations. This allowed long-term planning, investments in new territories, and calculated expansion. Fourth, the creation of interdependence. The more integrated you were in the system, the more you depended on its stability and the more it benefited you to protect it. Results and scale achieved. For over 3 decades, this model maintained relative peace among organizations that historically massacred each other. Estimates suggest the system moved hundreds of millions of dollars annually at its peak. Lansky personally controlled interests in casinos in Las Vegas, Cuba, and the Bahamas. The network expanded from New York to Florida, from the Midwest to the West Coast. The system's longevity is notable. It survived internal wars, federal investigations, and leadership changes. While other criminal empires collapsed due to betrayals or internal violence, the commission structure maintained a certain functional order. Critical structural limitations. But the model had insurmountable vulnerabilities. The absence of legal protection meant every agreement depended on word and threat. There were no contracts enforceable in courts. Betrayals, though brutally punished, were always possible. The death or imprisonment of key figures could destabilize entire territories. Scalability was limited. Expanding to new territories required complex negotiations and, frequently, initial violence to establish presence. There was no operations manual guaranteeing consistency. Each territory operated with its own rules as long as it met upward payments. Finally, the illegal nature of the system meant all money lived in the shadows. There was no public reinvestment, no legitimate brand building, no possibility of institutionalization. The system was brilliant, but condemned to live in hiding, vulnerable to constant legal pressure, and without possibility of becoming something permanent and legally transferable. Esectica 14, Sectum Analysis, Ray Kroc, Architecture of the Franchise Model. The system Kroc built transformed a restaurant into a global replication machine. The structure was elegant in its simplicity. McDonald's didn't sell hamburgers. It sold complete operating systems backed by a brand. Each franchisee paid an initial fee of around $9,500 in the 1960s, a considerable but accessible amount for middle-class entrepreneurs. But the true genius was in recurring income. Each franchise paid royalties of 4% on gross monthly sales. Not on profits, on total sales. This meant McDonald's collected even if the franchisee had a difficult month. Additionally, Kroc established a real estate subsidiary that bought or leased the properties where restaurants operated, subleasing them to franchisees with a profit margin. This second income stream proved even more profitable than royalties. Standardization was absolute. The operations manual specified everything: exact temperature of fryers, cooking time for each hamburger, lettuce height in centimeters, customer service protocol word for word. There was no room for creative interpretation. Every McDonald's had to be indistinguishable from any other, from Texas to Tokyo. Operational principles of the model. The system functioned on pillars different from Lansky's, but equally solid. First, unlimited scalability through replication. Anyone with initial capital and willingness to follow the manual could open a franchise. There were no real geographic, cultural, or numerical limits. Second, operational risk transfer. The franchisee assumed the initial investment, personnel costs, daily maintenance, and potential losses. McDonald's collected its percentages, regardless of each location's individual result. Third, centralized control of standards. Although the franchisee operated the business, McDonald's maintained absolute power over quality, suppliers, menu, and brand. Surprise inspections guaranteed compliance. Fourth, collective value building. Every new McDonald's strengthened the complete brand. National advertising benefited all locations. A satisfied customer in California increased the confidence of a potential customer in Florida. Results and scale achieved. The numbers tell the story better than any analysis. In 1963, there were 500 McDonald's restaurants. By 1968, they exceeded 1,000. In 1974, 3,000. The expansion was exponential. By century's end, tens of thousands of locations operated in over 100 countries. McDonald's Corporation's annual revenues reached billions of dollars, with profit margins exceeding 20%. The company became one of the world's largest commercial real estate owners. The model proved replicable in virtually any culture, from India to Saudi Arabia, adapting menus but maintaining the operating system intact. Decisive structural advantages. Unlike Lansky's system, this model had total legal protection. Every agreement was backed by enforceable contracts. Disputes were resolved in courts, not with violence. Scalability was truly global because the system didn't depend on personal trust relationships, but on legal documentation and standardized procedures. Reinvestment capacity was unlimited. Profits converted into expansion, advertising, research, and development. The brand was built publicly, generating value that transcended any individual. The system was institutional, transferable, and designed to survive generations. It wasn't a personal empire, it was a self-sufficient corporate machine. Section 5. Direct comparison. Fundamental strategic similarities. Both systems share an identical conceptual architecture at their core. Lansky and Kroc understood that true power isn't in doing the work, but in creating the structure where others work for you. Both designed models where growth depended on multiplying independent operators who paid constant percentages to belong to the system. Incentive alignment is practically identical. In Lansky's model, if a territory generated more income, both the local operator and the central structure earned more. In Kroc's model, if a franchise sold more hamburgers, both the franchisee and McDonald's increased their profits. Both created financial interdependence where individual success fed collective success. Another crucial parallel, both eliminated destructive competition through forced integration. Lansky got criminal organizations to stop killing each other because belonging to the system was more profitable than warring. Kroc got thousands of restaurants to operate under one brand because collective value exceeded any benefit of independence. Both turned potential competitors into obligated collaborators. Finally, both charged for added value, not just product. Lansky charged for access to territories, system protection, and conflict resolution. Kroc charged for brand access, the operations manual, and corporate backing. Neither sold just a service. They sold membership to a profitable ecosystem. Critical structural differences. Legality defines everything else. Lansky's system operated completely outside the law, which implied constant vulnerability to authorities, impossibility of institutionalization, and dependence on violence or threat to resolve disputes. Kroc's system operated with total legal protection. Enforceable contracts, dispute resolution in courts, ability to expand publicly without fear of police intervention. Scalability presents radical contrasts. Lansky faced real geographic and numerical limits. Each new territory required complex, frequently violent negotiation. Expanding internationally was extremely difficult due to the illegal nature of operations. Kroc faced practically unlimited scalability. Any country, any city, any corner could have a McDonald's. The only limit was market demand and available capital. System protection reveals another fundamental difference. In Lansky's model, loyalty was maintained through credible threat of violence and economic benefit. Betrayals were brutally punished, but always possible. In Kroc's model, loyalty was guaranteed through legal contracts with breach clauses, regular inspections, and possibility of franchise cancellation. The legal system protected the model. Institutional permanence marks the greatest distance. Lansky's empire was personal, tied to his life and freedom. His imprisonment or death threatened the entire structure. There was no way to legitimately transfer the system to future generations. Kroc's empire was corporate, designed to survive beyond any individual. McDonald's continued growing decades after his death because the system was institutional, not personal. Compared efficiency and context. If we measure efficiency by capacity to generate predictable income, both systems were extraordinarily effective in their contexts. Lansky moved hundreds of millions for decades. Kroc built a corporation that generates tens of billions annually. If we measure sustainability, the difference is abysmal. One collapsed under legal pressure, the other became a global institution. If we measure by replicability, only the legal model can be studied, documented, and openly applied by other entrepreneurs. The question isn't which system was more intelligent conceptually, but which could survive and scale in the real world. Section 6. Applicable liaisons. Universal extractable principles. Beyond the legality or illegality of each model, both systems reveal structural principles any business can apply. The first, build systems where others execute within your infrastructure. Neither Lansky nor Kroc spent their days operating casinos or cooking hamburgers. They designed the rules, established the payments, and let others do the heavy lifting. This is the difference between having a job and having a scalable business. The second principle, charge for real added value, not just product. Lansky charged for access to stable territories and conflict resolution. Kroc charged for the brand, the operating system, and corporate backing. Both understood that true margin is in the intangible: structure, network, reputation. A business that only charges for products has limited margins. A business that charges for system access can multiply its income without multiplying its work. The third principle, align incentives to create collective growth. If your success depends on others' failure, the system is fragile. If everyone wins when the system grows, the structure self-reinforces. McDonald's never competes against its franchisees. It grows with them. This concept applies to distributor networks, business partners, or internal collaborators. The fourth principle, maintain centralized control of key decisions while decentralizing execution. Both leaders controlled standards, territories, and financial flows, but delegated daily operations. This is the only way to scale without collapsing under operational weight. Applications of the commission model. The concept of tiered commissions remains current in modern industries. Digital platforms operate exactly this way. Uber charges percentage per ride, Airbnb per booking, Amazon per sale. They don't own cars, houses, or inventory. They charge for system access. This is the legal evolution of Lansky's model, a network where independent operators pay percentages to belong to a centralized infrastructure. Conflict resolution through financial compensation is also applicable. Instead of legally battling over every dispute, many companies establish automatic compensation clauses. If a partner abandons a territory, they receive predefined compensation. This maintains functional relationships and avoids value destruction through internal fights. Diversification of income sources within the same system is another powerful lesson. Lansky didn't depend only on casinos. He had gambling, smuggling, and loans. Kroc didn't depend only on royalties. He had real estate. Creating multiple income streams within the same structure reduces vulnerability and increases profitability. Applications of the franchise model. Absolute standardization allows scalability without quality loss. Any business wanting to replicate needs to document every process to the most granular level. The operations manual isn't bureaucracy. It's the asset that allows growth without physical presence. From gyms to language schools, this principle works in hundreds of industries. Predictable recurring income completely changes a business's valuation. A company that charges once has limited value. A company that charges monthly on continuous operations has exponential value. Subscriptions, memberships, and royalties convert unique transactions into permanent relationships. Operational risk transfer to the executor is financially brilliant. Instead of opening owned locations assuming all investment, the franchise model makes others put up the capital while you retain control and collect percentages. This applies to distributors, licensees, or business partners in any industry. Strategic decision according to context. The final question isn't which model is better in abstract, but which works for your specific situation. If your business depends on personalized local execution, the commission model with independent operators may be ideal. If your business depends on absolute consistency and strong brand, standardized franchise works better. Many modern businesses combine both. They charge base subscriptions plus transaction commissions. Section 7. Zuching and final reflection. In business, as in life, having a brilliant idea or working tirelessly isn't enough. The payment structure you design will determine whether your business can scale or if it will remain trapped in your individual execution capacity. Empires aren't built selling products. They're built to design systems where others want to participate because winning within your structure is more profitable than competing against it. The lesson isn't moral, it's strategic. The best business model is one that can grow without destroying itself, that can institutionalize without depending on one person, that can protect itself legally without living in the shadows. Lansky proved the concept worked. Kroc proved the concept could conquer the world when executed within the law's limits. Your payment structure isn't an administrative detail. It's the heart of your business model. It's the difference between building something that dies with you or something that transcends generations. If this analysis made you see business differently, subscribe to the channel. Every week, we analyze business strategies that changed industries, comparing opposing models to extract applicable lessons. Leave your opinion in the comments. What other business model contrast do you want us to analyze? Hit like if you made it this far and share this video with someone building a business. This information could completely change their strategy. See you in the next analysis.